Do you ever find yourself having a hard time getting started, doing that thing you know you need to do, but you just keep putting it off and, it just, oh, me too. One of the reasons this came up is I was just asked to do a video on perfectionism. But when she described the reason she wants to get a video on perfectionism, she described a situation which was actually procrastination, because perfectionism will cause you to procrastinate. But you need to deal with the procrastination, and a lot of the tips and the methods that you can use to overcome procrastination will get you past it. Where just thinking about perfectionism and I need to not be a perfectionist won't get you there. So that's why we're talking about this. If you find yourself relating to any of this, you might want to think about subscribing, because we do talk about things like this here. And if you've been watching me lately, you know that I have been struggling with cleaning my refrigerator. And it still's not clean. And I want to do it. Well, I remembered a book I have, Cognitive Behavioral Therapy, and I've mentioned this before. It is by Seth J. Gillihan, PhD, and I will link to it in the description. Chapter 7, which is Stay on Task, Push Through Procrastination. He lists some ways you can tell if you've got a procrastination problem, and check these out. Realizing you didn't leave yourself enough time to finish the task by the deadline. Feeling inadequately prepared for meetings. Trying to force yourself to do a task. I do that. Being stressed about time as you rush to an appointment. Trying to hide that you haven't been working on a task. Producing lower quality than you're capable of. Telling yourself, I'll take care of that later. And you guys hear me say that all the time. Oh, I'll do this later. It's okay. And another one, waiting to feel more inspired or motivated so you can do a task. And you've also seen me do that so many times. Oh, I'm just not motivated enough to do this today. Maybe tomorrow I'll feel more motivated. Finding ways to waste time instead of doing what you need to do. I do that too. Relying on last-minute pressure to complete a task. Does that sound familiar to any of you guys? So this is what drives procrastination. The fear that will be unpleasant. That's me in the refrigerator. You've heard me say it. It's got toxic waste in there. It's gross. Ugh. It's fear that it's like that makes me want to not do that particular thing. He says, when we think about doing a task, our minds often automatically go to the most enjoyable parts. Then we start imagining how awful it is, and then we don't want to do it. We have a fear of not doing a good job, that it won't turn out right. This is where perfectionism comes in, I think. We want to do everything just right, and we're afraid it won't turn out just right, or we're afraid it's hard. We're afraid other people will judge us for us, even if we don't realize that's what we're doing. And so it's that fear of not doing a good job that stops us from doing it. Permission-giving thoughts. Sometimes we tell ourselves we deserve a break or convince ourselves we'll work better in some time in the future. And you have also heard me say that. I knew I was procrastinating a little bit. I didn't realize how, I've been using a lot of the methods. We experience feelings of relief. Yep. Psychologists call this negative reinforcement, because this reinforcement comes from taking away something that we feel is unpleasant. Positive reinforcement is getting something we like to strengthen a behavior. So negative reinforcement comes from avoiding a task that can be very difficult to overcome. So anytime we make some good progress toward that thing, it gives us positive reinforcement, and then it helps us to want to continue. But when we're avoiding it, we are reinforcing the idea that we need to avoid it. Here's some of the strategies for beating it, because that's what we need to know, right? So he wants to point out, though, that there are some things that are going to cause us to procrastinate more, like depression, or people with ADHD just struggle more to meet deadlines. Anxiety orders can lead to procrastination. Most of our procrastination comes from how we're thinking about the thing that we are avoiding, and then our amount of willingness to complete it. If we go back to it, it's how we're thinking about what we need to do, and our willingness to do that thing that we're procrastinating about. He said that we are supposed to do these things. Notice when we are giving ourselves permission, we're bending the truth to let us get out of doing that thing. Beware of things that we are saying to ourselves to justify the procrastination. And one of those things can just be downplaying the amount of time that we're going to use with our avoidance thing. So like, I think I'll go work on the puzzle for 15 minutes, and then after that, I'll go in and clean the refrigerator. But the problem is I'll get working on the puzzle, and I'll just keep doing it because it's enjoyable. And then I'm kind of tired at the end of that, and I'm like, oh, I'm not going to do the refrigerator today after all. Another one is remind yourself of some of the reasons you don't want to procrastinate. And for me, one of them is, if I do the thing I'm putting off, then I don't have to worry about it anymore. And it won't sit and weigh on me when I'm trying to do other more pleasant things. He said, beware of virtuous avoidance. That's when we're doing other good things. And so well, at least I'm doing other things that are good. I do that. It's funny, if you've been watching me, you've heard me do almost all of these things. Well, at least I have cleaned this thing instead of this thing. So I did something productive, but I really didn't need to do the thing I'm avoiding. We often delay because we're just not sure how to do it. And so we sit and think about it. What's the method? What's the plan? How do I break it down? How do I ensure it turns out good? And we're worrying about it to the point that we don't just get up and start. And I know the viewer that asked me to do the video about perfectionism listed this very thing because she was thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about it so much that she couldn't get started. And she perceived that as perfectionism, which I have too. But if you are just spinning around worrying about things so much, you won't get started. The only way around it is just get up and get started and let the chips fall where they may with it. You might find that once you get going, it's okay and you enjoy it, but at least you're doing it. And then another thing is just acknowledge you are not going to feel like doing it later either. So when you tell yourself that untruth, which is something I do all the time, well, I'm not going to do it today, but tomorrow morning will be better. I'll feel more like doing it because I'm all rested and it will be the first thing I do. And then the next day I won't feel like doing it either, which is why this thing about me needing to clean out the refrigerator's gone a couple of weeks, because I keep telling myself that instead of saying, yeah, it's not going to feel any easier tomorrow. So I'm going to do what Casey Davis recommends or teaches. Do future Roseanne a favor. Future Roseanne is going to be really happy that you have done this. So, hey, that's a good thought. And then change the beliefs from you don't have to do it perfectly. Just get going. Just get going. I think students who avoid writing a paper in school, they're so worried about won't be perfect, I won't get a good grade, and they research endlessly and they don't ever get started with it. And then they end up at the end just going like this, and then, it doesn't turn out as well as it would if they just got started. And we do the same kinds of things just in regular life. He points out that the more we try to push ourselves to have willpower to get that thing done, the less likely we are to actually get it done. So some things we can do. Just use reminders. And so just put things around that will remind you. Write a note, set an alarm, put things out that you need to do it. And if they aren't enough, put more of those things out where you will just can't avoid them. And you're going to be more likely you're going to get started. Create a distraction-free zone. Some things just require peace and space for you to do them. He recommends that you put tasks on a calendar and then do everything you can to protect that time. Then, of course, we've heard a lot. Break it down into manageable pieces. Now, cleaning the refrigerator is not something I can do like that. I just have to get in there and do it. And it really doesn't take as long And if I'm doing it regularly, it really doesn't take as long. When it takes longer is when I avoid it for so long that everything gets extraordinarily dirty. And I'm hoping it won't be that way. But you see, if I was keeping up with it, then I could break it into tasks. Okay, this morning I'm going to move things back. This morning I'm going to wipe the shelf off. You notice these are things that'll just take a minute, maybe less than a minute. It's only when I avoid it and procrastinate that it just gets out of control. Just get started, then finish the task, even if it's hard. Refrigerator, gotta finish it. Commit to starting the task imperfectly. Sometimes we just don't get going because we're waiting for us to know what to do so we can do it perfectly from the very beginning. I know that there are some of you that have expressed to me that you would like to start a YouTube channel, but that you're really worried about it and being able to do it well enough and getting it all figured out. It just seems so overwhelming. Well, you just have to just get started. Just know that's probably going to be wrong and you're going to make mistakes. And, it's the same way with really any hobby or like learning the piano. Most people know that when you learn the piano, you're just going to not sound that good at first. You're going to make a lot of mistakes, and the things that you do will just be really easy gradually over time as you work on it. And you have to be willing to make mistakes all along because that's part of the process. And even after all these years, I've been playing the piano since I was 2. I was just almost 3, but I was just 2. So that's a lot of years. Going to be 68 really soon. It's a lot of years I've been playing the piano, and I still make mistakes, even on something I know, and it sounds good, and unless you're an expert, you wouldn't even recognize the mistakes, but I'm always making mistakes. And I had to get to the point where I went, that's okay, before I really could enjoy playing the piano. And I think it's true with anything we're learning, anything we're doing. You're not going to do it perfectly. If someone can do something perfectly, then they stand out. Or if you have one rare moment where you do something perfectly, then that's really great. But most of us just don't do it perfectly. He says to work next to others that are working, like our garage. Oh, that's got to be cleaned out. We couldn't in the summer. It was too hot. You can't do it in the winter. It's too cold. So you can only do it in the shoulder seasons, the spring or the fall. And we're in the fall. We have to, it's a mess. Oh my goodness, it's bad. Because my son has moved in and he has some of his stuff and he's moved things around. And it would be so much easier if my husband and I are both working on it. But then I've also decided I'm going to do this imperfectly. Like I'm going to take a lot of his stuff that's just bugging me and put it all in a box so I don't have to worry about it and he can sort through it later. Then use shorter, uninterrupted work sessions. The garage is a perfect thing that I could do this with. I'm going to set a timer. I'm going to go out there today and I'm going to work a half an hour. Tomorrow I'm going to do a half an hour or an hour, whatever it is, and just do that. And I will make some really substantial progress that way and be able to get it under control. But the thought of going out there and doing it all at once, because it's going to be hard, that's overwhelming. Figure out how to do things. If you don't have any idea how to do that thing that's worrying you, then do some studying and learning about it, and then it won't be so intimidating. Give yourself small rewards. So if I go down and clean this refrigerator, then I should do some kind of reward for myself. Maybe leave the house, do something fun. Just make it so I look forward to the end, because it will be more than a clean refrigerator. It will be like a happy reward. And track your progress. Then he talks about mindfulness, which I practice, and I have mentioned that before in videos. I use the Happier Meditation app. It really teaches you to be mindful, be in the moment, because most of our problems have to do with worrying about the past. We can't fix the past, and worrying about the future, or just getting outside of our brain and what's going on right now. But when we can focus on what's happening right now, the whole thing is just more pleasant altogether. So you come into the present. What's happening now? What's occurring this moment? This is how it feels for me to sit on this stool. When you find yourself wandering around, which you will, as soon as you recognize it, just go back to what you're focusing on. You just go, oh, thinking or wandering, in your brain, and then you just go back to focusing. You don't beat yourself up about it that you have wandered away. Just come back. Here's where my hands are. This is what I'm doing. The whole thing goes a lot easier. I can't recommend that enough. And there are plenty of ways to learn it. Sometimes we think about meditation as like sitting going, No. The kind I do is just mindfulness. It's teaching me how to be present in the moment. And if you do that, and even if the thing you're doing is uncomfortable, you'll realize it's really not as miserable as I thought. And that feeling of being uncomfortable goes away really quickly. It's only when we're fighting that it extends and extends and extends. So let's go do something that we've been putting off. I'll see you next time. Bye.